It's a little over a month away until the 2025 Swimming World Championships get started in Singapore. And the big question we're going to be answering on this week's podcast, how many world records can be broken? We're going to be optimistic. We're going to be bold. We're going to put some predictions out there. And we want you guys to get involved as well. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. Yes, like I said in the intro, we're going to be talking world record predictions as we head into the World Championships 2025 in Singapore. If you're a regular listener to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast, you know we love to do this episode every year leading into the major competitions. We get loads of them wrong. But in swimming terms, we love to be bold, we love to be positive, and we love to look for what is great in the world of swimming, and that is fast swimming.
I think we're very, we expect very highly of these swimmers. And to be fair, some of them do come in. I mean, you obviously saw Summer McIntosh do what she did at Canadian Trials. That's kind of what we half expect, I suppose, from swimmers like that every single time. And I think we're going to be optimistic again, if I'm quite honest. Like, we're going to go through these events and I'm kind of listing like, that one's going to go, that one's going to go. So we'll talk through it as much as we can and let us know in the comments what you think will be broken and what you think that we're maybe too optimistic on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get to double-digit world records. That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. But swimming is in a very, very fast and exciting place. Now, before we jump into world records to go, I want to let you guys know that this week's episode is brought to you in partnership with OneFlow Aquatics out in Summer Bay, the newest destination for your warm weather training camps on the Red Sea in Egypt. And if you're interested in booking with Sports Abroad, you can follow the link in the show notes of this podcast. Okay, Dan, the best way for us to do this, because we could go through every single event in competitive swimming and we could have people listening all night long. But as we always say, no one really wants to listen to us for that long.
2 hours, yeah.
To be honest, I don't want to hear my own voice for that long either. But what we will do is we will start by surefire world records. You know, the ones that we guarantee are going to go. We don't guarantee. The ones that we are most optimistic about going, and then we'll give some outside bolters. And I can tell you now, the list on the women's side for world records that we think are surefire as a world record can be, to go is huge.
It is.
It's ginormous. But before we get into that, I'm going to start on the men's side, of which we've only actually got one. But we've got a few optimistic ones later on.
Yep.
But the one is the 400 meters freestyle, which if you had asked me 12 months ago, is that the surefire world record that you guys think could go, I'd say you're barking mad.
Yeah, can you believe it? Yeah. I think the reason, or one of the main reasons for us thinking that this is the best world record to go, or the strongest chance of world record to go on the men's side, mainly because, yes, the world record has actually gone this year. Lucas Martin's hit it. I suppose that kind of helps. But I think for me, as much as that time seems amazing and he really attacked it and held on really quite well, he was racing by himself. He's going to have to deal with Sam Short in that pool as well, who is the second strongest this year, as well as Elijah Williamson and other swimmers as well. And it's going to be a real race. I suppose the other only caveat is that it will be a race. Will it be about the time, or will it just be about getting a hand on a wall and winning the gold medals, being a world champion? But it might take a world record to get that far, I think.
Yeah, we've spoken about this before, but to me, the way the 400 meters freestyle has a chance of being raced is absolutely gunning it from the go.
It seems
from
that way.
Both of these guys. We've spoken to Sam Short on this podcast, and he really leaves no energy in, he doesn't come out of the pool with any energy. He leaves absolutely everything in the pool and loves the mind games of attrition, and it's kind of like warfare in the pool. He will just absolutely gun it. And then you look at the splits that Lucas Martins did to break that world record. And I know, Dan, you were a 400 meter swimmer back in your pomp, and the splits that it would have or did take to break Biedermann's world record are almost mind-blowing. He took out that first 200 meters in a 1:47. So there is not going to be any hanging around. I know you say race the race, and there is every chance that they just watch each other. But we know Sam Short.
Yeah,
And
I think it's Sam's to dictate, I suppose. And
You reckon?
Well, believe it or not, Martin's actually went a second quicker than what Short did at Aussie Trials. I think Sam went 1:48. So of course, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's Short hanging on to Martin.
Well, that's what I mean.
I'm leaning towards Shorts being the dictator, and then Lucas kind of just holding him off, and then. Yeah, like you say, war of attrition, and see who can actually hold on and push on that third 100, because that's really where the deal comes down.
They are going to have to go somewhere. They're both... To break the world record now, it is not just go beneath 340. It's to go beneath 339.9. Like it's... my brain still hasn't caught up with how fast this event is now.
The splits are hard for my brain. And this is where I think the 200 free is... In my head, it just will never be broken, because you've got to go 50 on the first 100 flat, and then come back on a 52 flat, and that's only to equal the world record, not go beneath it. And I thought it would be exactly the same for the 400 free, because you've got to go 150s on both 200s, which is, I thought, very difficult. And it still is, obviously. Only one man has gone under that 340 barrier. Will two guys do it? I suppose that's the next question.
I'm kind of in the camp of... If it's a race and a race, they might take it out too hard.
That'd be a good watch. That'll be really entertaining.
At the end.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying about Sam Short having to take it out hard. My worry is, if I'm Lucas Martins, I don't want Sam Short to dictate the pace, because Sam Short goes up to 8, he goes up to 15. This is him coming all the way down, whereas I think Lucas Martins' optimum distance is the 4, and I think he could do well at the 2 later this summer. But I've already said that on a different podcast.
I think Short's 200 was quite impressive. It kind of went under the radar because his 400 was good, his 800 was quite strong, as was his 1500. But he's obviously been working a little bit on his front end speed in the 200. Obviously, that's why he went a 1:45. I think he went, which is good. That's like a solid 200 meter freestyle time. But he's not even racing that event, I don't believe.
Nope.
So that bodes well, I think, for the 400. What I think will happen, where he will attack the race from get-go and then just see if he can hold on. And like you say, he's got the aerobic base because of the distance background that he has. He might be difficult to reel in if he's at the front, half a bod length ahead for the entire race. Who knows? But I think Martins will go in as favourite for sure.
Oh, definitely. If you're the only man in the world who's gone sub 340, you're favourite now for the next Olympic cycle, my friend.
Yes.
Unless something happens this summer. Unless something happens this summer. But, okay, I get why you've written down this as the world record to go on the men's side, because there's 2. It's not just Lucas Martins and the time trial. There is a competition behind him. Yeah. And it may be even more than just Sam Short as well.
Yes, potentially, yeah.
Okay, we'll dip into the women's side then, because there's a monumental list of world records to go, and I'm going to group...
There are a few groups.
Group these together? I'm going to group Summer McIntosh current world record brokens together. Right. So the women's 400 meters freestyle with no Ariane Titmus in the water this summer. She's in an absolute world of her own. She's already smashed that world record by 1.2 seconds. I don't think anyone listening to this podcast needs me to tell you every chance that world record goes again.
Yeah, I guess you'd be kind of a bit pessimistic to not think that world record's going to go. She swam that amazingly well in Canadian trials, and by all means, I think you'd be mad to think that she's not going to break it again.
Yeah, and by all accounts, she wasn't fully tapered either.
There you go.
The other 2 Summer McIntosh world records, the 200 meters individual medley. Maybe that one's a little bit more of an asterisk by the fact that she's going to have to race a very, very strong field, and maybe she looks around the field a little bit. But we've already discussed on another previous podcast, our bonus one that we did about Summer's world records, that actually her pacing in that world record was near perfect. She just has to do it again and maybe find a little bit more on the back end speed for the freestyle, which she's very, very good at, given that we've just said she's going to break a 4:3 world record. And the 400 meters individual medley, again, she's in a world of her own every time she swims that. And that was at the end of a long meet for her out at Canadian trials. There's every chance that gets dropped even further again.
I'd say the 400 is more likely than the 200, like you were saying, only because you've got more margin for error, I suppose, like the longer distance you go. And she did push the backstroke, but it's the breaststroke. I'm pretty sure she can find a 10th or 2 on the breaststroke, maybe on the 200 I'm as well. So, expect maybe a small world record, PB, but a world record for her on all three of those events, definitely.
Now, carrying on the Summer McIntosh talk, the 800 meters freestyle. As far as we're aware, at this point of recording, she is racing this against Katie Leedecky at World Championships, which means a little bit like the men's 400 meters freestyle we've just talked about. We're going to get a monumental head-to-head, and one of them has already broken that world record this year. And Summer hasn't raced next to Leedecky for a while, since heading into last Olympics, and that was in season. Now they're both rested. Now Summer's got very close to Leedecky's world record. I'm not sure I can call who's going to get this world record, but a head-to-head of that caliber, for me, screams is going.
I just can't remember a time when Leedecky was actually challenged in the 8 or the 15. Like, this is going to be the first time in probably in her entire career. I'm honestly trying to remember when anyone was within 10 seconds of her.
When she
in the
beat
800.
Adlington in London, but no, she was by herself.
She was
then.
like 15, 16 then. It's ridiculous, like how dominant she's been. And now you've got Summer McIntosh who could potentially go and beat her and actually take the world record from her, which is mind-blowing. I know she was beaten by a second and actually world record pace. We said on the bonus podcast talking about Summer that she was actually on world record pace up until that final 50 when Leedecky, I don't know, had the jets on her feet to go through and take out a second out of McIntosh.
But now they're next to each other.
Well, that's just it.
It's a lot harder to have that swim away from someone when you're next to them like that.
Does that then build more motivation for Leedecky because she's been swimming by herself for so many years, but now she's actually got someone next to her to push her and actually really challenge her, not just for the gold, but for the world record and sheer dominance again?
Do you know, I was just going to say that. I think if you're Katie Leedecky and you're sitting there heading into, what is it now, like 4th, 5th Olympic cycle, you're going into LA 2028, where you are going to be the poster girl. Whatever happens over the next 4 years, you are the poster girl heading into those Olympic Games, because she is the golden woman of American, not even American swimming, American Olympic sport.
I'd say so, yeah.
Absolutely the GOAT right now. And what better time to have competition and push yourself to your best? I think there's absolutely no chance in the world that she gets complacent over the next... Not that Katie Leedecky has ever got complacent. No. But over the past, 18 months, we've seen a renewed Leedecky, I would say. Yes,
and maybe the change to gaiters has really helped that. Maybe the Stanford work behind her is now starting to take an effect, because she's done a lot of volume there, obviously. And maybe it is just the challenge of McIntosh coming through that has made her think, I've really got to up my game and find another level. Because we talk about Summer McIntosh, and she is going to new heights, new levels, especially on that 400 free, which I think was absolutely stunning. And if she were to have broken that 800 free, then maybe that would be even better than the 400 free world record that she hit. Exactly. All of those swims she did in Canadian trials were outstanding. Will she challenge? I honestly think that Leedecky's got she's got a task in her hand.
How would you race it if you're Leedecky? I don't think it's a cat and mouse of watch Summer and try and break her on the last 100. I don't think that would work.
I don't think that works. No. What the usual tactic for Leedecky is to actually go out quite strong for the first 200, and then she's ahead by a body length, 2 body lengths, even 3 sometimes, and then she just kind of pulls away, and she's got kind of broken the field mentally already just by doing that. I don't think that's going to work with Summer, but at the same time, I agree with you, where I don't think you can stay on Summer's shoulder, for example, and then plough past on the final 50.
No, because Summer swims the 2 free.
I think she'll have enough left as well. So it's a difficult one. I think maybe that's her best shot, is to try and break her early, but I don't think Summer's going to allow that. It's going to be a fascinating race. Honestly, that is going to be what I think one of the races of the entire week.
Yep.
Just a monster head-to-head.
Okay, first time prediction of this podcast, and Dan. We've skirted through what world records we think, to begin with, have a chance. First time, how low could the battle between them take that 800 meters freestyle world record?
I mean, 804 in general is outrageous. Will we see an 803? Yeah, I think so.
I agree.
They're going to push each other on, surely. Normally they're in a league of their own when they're racing in their own nations, but now they're racing each other and they're within a second. Yeah, I think they're going to go potentially both go under that world record, the current world record that's just been broken. 8-3 for both, maybe. That would be outstanding. That's next level elite stuff.
Okay, speaking of elite head-to-heads, we've had a few of them already that we're talking about. Backstroke. Women's backstroke has been stratospheric.
Yeah.
Since the Regan Smith and Kaylee McEwen head-to-head has really bubbled to the surface over the last 24 months.
Yeah.
One world record after another world record, back and forth on the 100 meters backstroke, to the point now that Kaylee McEwen holds the 50 meters world record, Regan Smith the 100 meters world record, and Kaylee McEwen the 200 meters world record. Now, you think there's a good chance that some of these get broken? I think they are, like the world records we've spoken about, Summer McIntosh, I think they're already kind of streets ahead of what I think is physically capable. Like, they're monster world records that are a long way clear of the rest of the world, bar the 50. The 50 might have a chance.
Yes, I think that's the more likely event, backstroke-wise, for that world record to go. And it's actually not Regan Smith or Kaylee McEwen that I think will potentially break that world record either.
Lauren Cox?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Has a chance.
I hope she does. I mean, she went 27-1 at AP, didn't she? Going to British record. So she's got a chance. I know it's 0.2 or 0.3 away, which is a lot on a 50, I know. But got every chance, If everything clicks into place, then, fingers crossed. But I hope Lauren, obviously, but I do believe it's Catherine Burkhoff that's going to get it. The stroke rate is, Lauren Cox's stroke rate is incredible, but the stroke rate of Catherine Burkhoff is, she's doing just awesome at the moment. 0.1, I think she was off that world record. So I do believe she'll get that 50.
Can the 100 and 200 go?
I think there's a chance. I think the 200 it's always got a shot because of the swimmers that are in the pool, but I think it's more of an outside chance, the 200. As of right now. But again, you're for the 100, you're dealing with swimmers that are going 57s. The world record's 57.1, I believe.
Yep.
I think they've both gone 57 mids. So they're not a million miles away. And again, put them both in the same race, then it could drive them on very similar to the Leedecky and McIntosh situation.
Backstroke's a little bit different, kind of.
Yeah, well, they're not looking at each other, but you have the peripherals, don't you? So it's good race.
And final women's one, which takes us to depending on how many backstroke world records you think are going to go, takes us to about 6 or 7, maybe 8. But these are strong world record chances, and I don't think you can argue with too many of them. Maybe the men's 4-3 is really, really good at this point.
Anyway,
it's only just gone. Is the women's 100 meters butterfly. Again, because Gretchen Walsh is in the water, every time she gets in the water and swims 100 meters fly, she has a fantastic chance of breaking her own personal best, which is the world record. She's got some wrongs to right in terms of she did fluff it at the Olympics. It didn't go right in the fact that she didn't win gold, and she was the world record holder going in. But she's now mid-54s. So I don't think there's actually too much pressure on her to win gold now. If that makes sense. I think it's almost, if Tori Huskell, whoever, in the 100 meters butterfly was closer to her, then maybe you get the odd question about choking in major meet.
The pressure and the
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But now I think she's taken... It's a different stroke that she's swimming, to be honest with you. 100 meters butterfly. How fast she's going, that's a... What? That was final 100 free at British Champs.
Yeah. It would, yeah. Actually, we did a bit of working out, didn't we? And she would have finals and maybe even close to podium. Yeah, ridiculous. On a ridiculous level of butterfly swimming. And she is in her own... She's on her own planet right now in that event. I think a good second clear, if I remember correctly, in the world's best times.
More than that.
It's dangerously strong. I mean, the women's medley relay is probably going to break the world record as well. We're not going to talk about relays. We're just talking individuals. But yeah, I mean... I keep going through my head, can you imagine a 53 point? I don't think she's going to go 53. I think she'll get a world record, but it won't be 53.
We're having those discussions.
But she's getting, kind of close to a 53 for a 100 fly. That's a freestyle time. And, I mean, the strength is obviously the underwaters. She could probably be a little bit more explosive off the block. That's some area to improve.
Yeah,
but the range of stroke,
0.7, 0.8.
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. So there's room to improve, which is mad. So, I would say that's a strong chance in an event of the world record going, as are the other ones. I'm actually really struggling to think of some of these events that the world records don't go in these women's event. I mean,
okay, hands up. We said this and we did this going into Paris, and things happened in Paris where it didn't happen. Obviously, Olympic Games are a very different beast. I do think swimming's in like this. It's almost like a pressure-free kind of state right now. It's in a very fast place. There are some ridiculous world records that have gone over the past, not even like 12 months, 6 months.
They do usually go at world champs, especially in like a semi-final, for example. I think there's prize money on the line as well, which is
World Aquatics
more incentive, obviously.
And
again, talking about cycles, we don't want to talk about them too much, but the first year of a cycle, there isn't really any pressure to go out there and just, be stuck underneath all this pressure like at the Olympics. You have a little bit more freedom, and we've spoken to so many swimmers who swim really well on their second or third event because they're like, oh, it's a bit of a fun event, and then they suddenly smash it so good that they're like, oh, maybe I should target this race as a normal. So how many are we on now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think the 50, so seven events.
Yeah.
That I think are definitely going to go.
Definitely is a strong word. Definitely is a strong word. Don't hold us to that. Right. Before we have some fun and we talk outside chances, we're really going to have a discussion on some of these and throw out some ridiculous, slightly crazy times. Let's have a quick ad break. And when we come back, we'll talk. I think I've got 7 men's and 3 women's more that could go down, which takes us to a stupid number of like 17 world records. Okay, this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is brought to you in partnership with OneFlow Aquatics out in Summer Bay on the Red Sea in Egypt. And if you haven't seen already, if you haven't looked on our Instagram stories, the Manchester Performance Centre have just got back from a 2-week training camp out there. They enjoyed sun, they enjoyed the new Cactus Hotel, the 50-metre pool, the 25-metre pool that's on offer, the new indoor gym, as well as an outdoor gym, even though it was like 38 degrees. Maybe the indoor gym's actually quite good in that sort of heat. Aircon.
Definitely.
Brilliant. And then they got to see all of the sites of golf, paddle. I know there was a lot of paddle that went on. There was the beach club as well. Dan, we love going out there so much, and it's so good to see some Brits going out there as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably, obviously they go out there to train, obviously. That's the main thing. But it's not just about that. It is about having a good time as well. I saw some stories from some of the swimmers out there that they went to the White Beach. They went go-karting as well. So, there's times where you have to take your mind off the training just to relax a bit. And they seem to have a really good time. I mean, our favourite place is the White Beach. And I think a lot of swimmers seem to enjoy that just because it's so peaceful. And we probably should talk about the food. It's been a while since I talked about the food.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to sidetrack you here and not talk about the food.
Oh, okay, fine.
Many training camps that me and you have been on, we've been to big cities. Like, we've been in a city environment, and then the ones that weren't in a city. So I've done Dublin, I've done Malaga, I have done Lignano in Venice, which is one of those ones which was out the way and there wasn't much going on. We were just in a sports complex. Now, the difference when you go to Egypt is you're just in the sports complex, but you're by the sea, you're by the beaches. It's like a purpose-built leisure. It's a peninsula. It's like a whole peninsula purpose-built for elite sport. There's not just swimming camps going on there. There's football, there's athletics, there's paddle, a new tennis academy as well that's just built out. And I think we've had experiences of so many different environments for a training camp, and often it is away from the pool that makes the difference. And
that's where the memories are from.
Exactly. And the relaxation and the whole experience around what is a fantastic facility to train at is why we're sat here promoting Summer Bay.
Yes, exactly. And again, it's not just for these elite clubs. At the moment, the elite clubs are out there or have been out there, like Manchester, for example. But they do want swimming clubs to go out there as well to experience what these elite guys are experiencing.
And they have different options for clubs coming so that you can cut down your budgets and reduce the cost going out there with sharing rooms. I think it goes all the way up to you can get 4 swimmers in a room to cut down on those costs as well. So if you're interested in booking your trip out to Summer Bay with OneFlow Aquatics, you can do so by following the link in the description of this podcast, which will take you over to Sports Abroad, which is the leading sports booking agent here in the UK. And Steve and the team over there will take care of all of your questions. Okay, Dan, this is the part of the World Records Prediction Podcast where me and you have some real fun. Let's throw out times that shouldn't be thrown out. Essentially, let's dig into this. And I'm going to throw straight in there and say the men's 50 meters freestyle. I'd love for this Supersuit world record to go. And I do think sprinting in general on the men's side is reaching new heights. It's taking a new direction because of Cam McAvoy, his training methods that he's doing. Obviously, we've seen Ben Proud get down to the low 21s as well. And it's really, really competitive. It's not just one guy that you can... I know Cam McAvoy is the leading light, but you can't go in saying he's definitely going to beat Jack Alexi. He's definitely going to beat Ben Proud, because I'm not sure that's a definite at this point. And when we've just talked through this podcast, when there's a chance of a race on the line, there's a chance of a fast time.
Well, what's really interesting is that it's not just Cam that's hitting these fast times. He's actually bringing the rest of the world with him. Yeah. So I think he is the fastest right now with 21.3. But Jack Alexi also went a 21.3. I thought Ben Proud did amazing back in April at trials when he went 21.6, unrested, unshaven, all of that stuff. And you think, God, that's actually amazing to go 21 mid roughly at that time of the year. And he's just bringing the rest of the world to a certain standard, to the point where it does throw questions in your head, like, a sub 21? Is that like within reach now again after so many years? Obviously, we haven't got close since the Supersuit era. But
Jessel got the closest.
Jessel did, actually, looking back. Yeah, 21.0, I think it was. That's a ridiculous time. But he had the outstanding start. So no one, well, mind you, Cam McAvoy did really well, didn't he, in the Aussie trials? But he is moving the event on with the different type of training. And I think a lot of people are adapting that. And that's the reason why these guys are seeing such good results. I still do think it's more than an outside chance, if I'm honest with you, to go half a second quicker.
Yeah, okay.
It's a big ask, but we are going through a bit of a phase where questions are being asked about whether it could potentially go within the next, this Olympic cycle, next 3 years. Yeah.
I'd put an outside chance again in next to the 100 free, but again, we've got no idea where Panzandler is in terms of, is he bringing his Olympic 46.4 form, or is he just going to come with a 47? I've got no bearing.
It's still a mad time to hear that. Like the world record is a 46.4. What?
I think that's why that might even be even longer than the 53, because that time is just bonkers. But again, it's been broken over the last 12 months, so...
you never know, yeah. I haven't actually seen him race yet, to be fair, so I don't know what kind of shape he's in. But he's, again, dragging the rest of the world with him, almost, because you look at the top 5 times, and they're all 47s low. And you think, wow, it's never been as quick as this. I don't remember, in recent memory, of a top 5, 6, 7 that are going 47 4s or 5s, or even quicker than that, actually. It's a good, strong field, and it's very exciting. Again, I don't think the world record's going to go, but if you go in Jack Alexi, who's sub 47 right now, can he drag a couple of under? I think maybe like the podium is going to be a sub 47 potentially at this rate, but the world record itself is, I think, safe for now. But it'll be a very quick field.
I'm not sure it's guaranteed safe. Like, no one saw that time coming at the Olympics, so who knows what?
Who knows? Yeah, you're right. Who knows?
Another Olympic world record was the 1500 meters freestyle, which was an absolutely outstanding world record by Bobby Think. It's an outside chance that he does it again, just because of the spectacle, the occasion, how good everyone's form was leading into that. I know a lot of those distance swimmers haven't had the massive training blocks leading into what they did for the Olympic Games. Like Dan Whiffen was out the water after the Olympics, traveling over in Asia. It just... But then again, distance freestyle is in a very, very strong place, so you never really know. So I want to discuss it and say maybe.
Maybe. It's a very tactical race, obviously, where I think really it seems Fink has changed the game a little bit, where it just comes down to a final 50 sprint at the end.
But that's not how we got the world record, is it?
No. That's what he's kind of turned the race into, effectively, because it's just yeah, you hold pace 59 throughout or whatever it is, and then you just bomb the last 50 going a 25 or 26. To get the world record, you've got to do what Fink did, obviously, and actually kind of attack it. A bit like what Martins did in the 400. You've got to really attack these races with a purpose, saying, I want to get this time, let's go for it. Or like Fink did, accidentally hit a world record. But, yeah, it will be interesting. I think it's an outside chance, but again, you never know, because the fields that you're dealing with, if they can drag each other along, then who knows what can happen. You got Sam Short in the water, for example. He's going to go out hard. Dan Whiffen could just easily follow, or
Dan
Fink could
Whiffen
follow.
Isn't have the mania that he had to deal with after winning the 800.
Yeah, true.
Who knows what he could have done at the Olympic Games in terms of sticking with Bobby Fink? Like, we spoke to him after the Olympics. It sounded mad what he had to do media-wise after winning the 8-3 and then back it up in the 1500.
Yeah.
He's not going to have quite that level of media pressure at a World
Oh, he
Championship.
might do, but not as much as Olympics. No, of course not.
Not doing interviews poolside till 3 in the morning.
No, no.
That's bonkers. Sticking on the men's then, 100 backstroke is in a very, very good place. I don't quite know where Chekon is in all of it. I know he's been swimming some very fast butterfly times, but we've always said his 100 back world record of a 51.6 is the near perfect 100 backstroke.
I do remember watching that race and you think, God, every pass of it just looks kind of spot on. And to be fair, no one really has got that close since that swim. The reason I think is an outside chance because Ollie Morgan is obviously doing amazing. Got the two Russians, Lefintsev and Kolesnikov, obviously kind of top 3 right now in the world. Chekon, who's doing amazing on the fly. Maybe you can transition that into the 100 backstroke. There's no real... Yeah, Koss, that's the other name. I'm trying to think of an American, but the Americans didn't quite click, did they? And no Australians either. They're in the 54s, which
is now
madness.
European.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
Weird.
I think Koss is a real danger, if I'm honest. Known for the 200 backstroke primarily, but I think that 200 will suit him, or, I think that 200 background will actually help in the 100.
Okay.
It's just whether he has the speed at the start, I suppose. But he's a real threat. I think he's on the podium. Whether he actually
this is a very outside world record for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's an outside chance list, isn't it? But I think it's on lookout. I think that we'll see a sub 52. I think we'll see one of those. But whether it's as low as a 51.6, I don't know. But
who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I'm gonna go the sprint butterflies because I think men's butterfly is peak. Like, right now, it's so fast. The 50 world record is too fast, I think, to go. It's like a 22.2.
I mean, Ponty did well last year. Whether he can transfer that short
Very
course,
true.
that was short course, mind you, into long course.
But the 100 now, I think to make the final, you're going to have to go 50 point.
Yes, I agree.
Which is
yes.
mad. And Grosset has just gone off 50.1, hasn't he? 50 point.
Yeah. One. Yeah.
Now, I understand Dressel's world record of 49.4 is... it's
very good.
Underrated as one of the best world records out there. But this is as competitive as 100 meters butterfly has ever been. There could be a podium under 50 seconds.
I think,
do they get down to the world record mark of Dressel? I don't know.
Well, maybe I'm going to kind of group this together as the 100 backstroke, where the world record is maybe a little bit out of sight, but I think we'll see a couple of 49s.
Yeah.
Just because the field is so deep. It's very similar to the women's 200 IM last year at the Olympics. I think the men's 100 fly and the women's 200 IM were just the most stacked finals I think I've ever seen in my life. And because you've got so many talented swimmers, again, you've just got a chance of someone just pulling out a bag of some outstanding swim. But we're dealing with a dress world record here, who only Milak, and of course he's outstanding butterfly swimmer, has only ever got close to. So, who else? Liendo could do it, Grosset. There's a number of names in there that could do it.
Stacked.
Yeah, really is.
Okay, we've got about 40 minutes into a world record prediction podcast, and we've not mentioned the name Leon Marchand.
Yeah.
Partly because heading into these world championships, he's kind of under the radar. Like, I've got no idea what he is swimming right now, like how fast he's going, because he hasn't needed to show how fast he's going. Not at all.
Well, he went 4.7, didn't he, for his 400 IM, which is actually really quite good.
It is.
But he wouldn't have tapered for that at all,
Not
so we just
at all.
don't know where he's at. So,
Maybe the 2 a.m. Big maybe, because at 2 a.m. you're going to have to be flying to get close to that. Maybe 4 a.m. because you're going to have to be flying to get close to what he did in that as well. Maybe 2 breaststroke.
2 breaststroke. I actually think there's that 16-year-old Japanese kid we should probably watch out for.
In a few years.
I mean, world junior records, but of course, when you're that age, drops can happen race after race. Again, I don't think he's going to... I think he went 2:07 for that junior world record, and the world record's 2:05 mid.
Yeah.
I think. So you've got to find 2 seconds. Yeah. I mean, he's looking very good, mind you. Had a strong 100 as well, not so long ago.
58, wasn't it? Or something?
Yeah,
no,
pretty...
59.
Sub-minute, definitely. As a 16-year-old, is pretty special. But going back to Marchand, is he going to get the 200 breaststroke? I don't think... It's so hard to tell. I just don't know where he's at.
We'd be silly not to put his name into this podcast and say, Leon Marchand, when he's swimming in a swimming pool... Yeah, you know what? There is a chance.
Yeah.
I don't know what chance, and I don't know how fast he is going when he gets to Singapore. But sure.
Yeah,
it's a bit like a year ago, he was the best swimmer in the world.
Yeah, you put that in the same bracket as Kaylee McEwen. She's in the water. World records on notice, summer. Isn't it? So I just don't know where he is, and it's really hard to sort of gauge it. 4:07. If you're putting that in a British point of view, you think that's absolutely amazing. That's a British record, lovely. But as a Marchand
PB +5
time, it's a PB +5 exactly. So just to know where he is.
I'll tell you what, when we're going through World Championships and when they're live, we'll have some content going out then. And once we've seen him in his first swim in Singapore, I think we'll get a gauge. We'll get a gauge. Yeah. Okay, I think that's the men's outside shots gone. If anyone wants to add any more, if anyone wants to be really bold and go after the impossible 8-3 and the impossible 2 backstroke, go for it. Let us know in the comment section below, and we'll let you know.
I'll tell you what, those records are so far ahead, aren't they?
Like the 2-back doesn't get talked about enough.
It's one of those real unbreakable records. That some are 3 seconds off. Like it's so far ahead.
But let's go through I think there's 3 more women's maybes.
Yeah, and one is probably should be in the more very likely category. But we'll leave that last, potentially.
I think that's... I don't disagree. Actually thinking about that. Women's 1500 meters freestyle. It's Leedecky, and Leedecky is currently in very good form.
Fort Lauderdale, she was 4 seconds off. I think it's Fort Lauderdale, 4 seconds off.
That's not far.
And it's on a 1500, that's really not far. I mean, you're dealing with how many lengths and how many turns and little points here and there you can shave off, and that's 4 seconds right there. I don't think
she's going to be by herself either, because Lanny Pallister's swimming very well.
Yeah, no, she is really, really swimming well, obviously. A Commonwealth record in that 1500, so she's got all the confidence in the world. But as to will Leedecky, she is going to target this race, obviously, the 8 and the 15. She is going to be by herself slightly. She's still like 10 seconds, maybe plus over Lanny Pallister. But the world record is, I think it's an outside shot, because I think a lot of her focus is going to go on that 8. She's just going to go all guns blazing in that 8. And then the 1500, I don't know about the schedule, I don't know where it lies, but I think the 8 is going to be at the forefront of her mind throughout that entire week.
Women's 50 meters butterfly, which to me is a bit crazy that you've put this on this list, because that's a wind-assisted Sarah Sjostrom world record, where she's gone a 24.43. But we've just talked about Gretchen Walsh earlier on in this podcast in the 100 meters butterfly, and she's only 0.2 off this year.
Once upon a time, I thought this world record, and still is maybe, like a top 3 best world record the sport of swimming has. Like, it won't get broken. In the realms of your 800 free for the men, 200 fly for the women, 50 fly, I thought was kind of next. But with Gretchen Walsh doing what she's doing, it's suddenly within a shot, you know?
I tell you what, she gets her start better.
Well, that's just it.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it's gone, but she really doesn't have the start of a 50 or 100 swimmer.
No, what she's in the water, God, she's like unbelievably good. The range of movement, the shoulders and the waters, everything I've said before. But it is the start. Can she save, or can she gain rather, 0.2 off the dive alone? Reaction-wise and streamline-wise,
I'd love someone to do the analysis of what her 50 fly PB looks like from entry
Yes.
to wall compared to Sjöström's entry to wall, and how close she really is then, because I think that's even closer.
But again, wind-assisted Sjöström.
It was wind-assisted.
Absolutely
it was outdoor.
flew down that pool when she swam that. That was so long ago. Over 10 years ago. Yeah. It's. I guess it has a chance. It's outside chance for sure. 0.2, again, sounds like a lot over a 50, but she's dropping time all over the place right now. So it could happen. It very much could happen.
Okay, and let's end this podcast with the women's 200 meters butterfly. Dan, how are we saying this?
Honestly, I don't know. I thought, well, like I just said, I thought the 200 fly was the hardest world record to break. And then you got Summer McIntosh, who I thought if anyone's going to break it, it's going to be Summer. But I didn't think she'd be close. 0.4. I guess, like 0.4 on a. I thought an unbreakable,
very close,
unbreakable world record. I thought this, and she's got a chance of breaking it. Could she do it? She didn't have the best of finishes based on what I've seen in the comments. I thought actually the turns were okay, but actually she didn't get the fingers on the wall. It's kind of a bit of a flat hand. Does that save 0.1, 0.2? Maybe. I just think it was a very good swimming Canadian trials. Can she better it? She's in the water, so she's got a chance.
Here's an interesting question for you.
Oh, God.
Summer McIntosh, which would you prefer? I'm not even going to talk world record, win the 8 free against Leedecky, or break the 2 fly world record. Which one would you pick if you were heading into these world championships and you were given one of those two?
As Summer mindset, if I'm in her shoes, I think you'd want to beat Leedecky.
Oh, see, I think the other.
Do
because
you?
The 2 fly is her favourite event. That is her event. And to get rid of a Supersuit world record would be monumental. I
think the most monumental thing would be a world record of 200 fly. But I think mentally, as an athlete and a rival, if you like, to try and get one over on, she is the greatest female swimmer ever. In her event, it's Leedecky's event.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Okay, so
is this a world record in 800 as well? Because it might take
no. We've already discussed that. But if you're in Summer's mindset, right, and the 2 fly is your event, that is your favorite event. She's put it out on her socials. That is the favorite thing that you do. There is a chance that you can become the best that has ever lived in your favorite thing. If I said to you when you were swimming, what was your favorite event? 4 free.
2 or 4, yeah.
Yeah. If I said to you, okay, Dan, you've got a chance of beating someone in the 100 free or setting a world record in the 4 free, which would you pick? Like, that's what you're saying. You're saying you're beating Leedecky in her event. I think someone's going to want the world record in the 2 fly more.
Oh, I still disagree, but I see what you're saying.
Her event for the rest of time.
I mean, I think her event, even though she says it's 200, I think her event is the 400 because she's on a different planet. But it's not her favourite.
Like she's already said, it's
not
her favourite is the 2 fly.
I mean, the world record is so incredibly quick. The fact that she would go that quick would be outstanding. But I still stand by to get one over on, I assume it'll be her idol as well, someone she looks up to, the greatest swimmer ever. I think if you ask Chad,
on the women's side,
if you ask Chad, like, what's your best moment, it would be beating Michael Phelps.
But his event was the 2 fly as well.
Well, it was. That is true. Yeah, but beating Phelps is a big deal.
Okay,
I think.
Sure.
And I kind of put, obviously, Leedecky's not quite there in terms of achievements and gold medals, but Leedecky and Phelps are the same, let's say.
Okay.
And I think if you get one over on Leedecky on that event, then that's massive.
If you've got to this point in the podcast, and thank you so much if you are listening to all the way through this episode. If you've got to this point on the podcast and you're on YouTube, just comment below 2 fly 800 free. We'll know what you mean. We'll do a little poll below and who thinks which one's kind of the more important heading into this meet for the great Summer McIntosh. And Dan, I think that's a really good place to end this week's episode. We're a month out. Some of these are probably a tiny bit too early predictions because we don't know the form of every single swimmer, but we've got a good guide now because trials is done. We know the standing, we know what the world records are, and we have an inkling of which ones could get broken. I think we set the marker at 6 or 7 is where I think we'd be happy coming out of Singapore for the state of swimming to be in.
Yeah, I think you're on 6 because you're not sure about the 50 back.
I'm not sure on the backstrokes, no.
I'm going to go for 7. I think 7 is the number. If you want an outside chance, maybe the 200 fly, for example, if some are getting that, then you're looking at 8. But I think it's going to be 7.
Okay.
Yeah, leave your comments below. 7 is my number. Are we being optimistic? I'm not quite sure, but
well, we're always optimistic. Like, there's no
genuinely
point.
think, though, we could see a lot of world records.
Yeah, we could.
A lot of them.
We could. Okay, that just about rounds up this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. We're going to be back next week with a very, very fun interview for you all to listen to. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, actually, because we're posting some more content over on there as we go along into World Championships, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you're listening on to those 2 podcast platforms, don't forget to leave us a review as well if you enjoy listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. And me and Dan will see you guys in 7 days' time.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.